We're live. Welcome everyone to the Ubuntu Community Q&A. I'm here with David Planella today, and we're going to take a full hour to answer all the questions you might have. If you're watching this through ubuntuonair.com, there's this chat widget below the video feed. We just enter your favorite nickname, hit the connect button, and then yeah, I was just trying to mute David as he was typing. Just hit the connect button, and then you can join the conversation, ask all the questions, comments, give feedback, whatever. If you ask questions, just make sure you prefix them with question in capital letters so we can more easily pick them up. One thing I should still mention, Jose is actually paying us to say this. You should circle, follow, friend, and do whatever you like to the Ubuntu on Air accounts. All of them you can find. That's on Google+, that's YouTube, Twitter, and elsewhere. Because it's not just the community Q&A, but we do lots of other shows on this site as well. And that way you get informed about upcoming shows and old shows that happened, and you can watch all of them and find out more what's happening in the Ubuntu world. I'm just going to ping all the folks on IRC and let them know as well how to ask their questions. And I think that should get us started.
All right. It seems that we've got even early questions today, even before we started. Chloe Wolfigel has already started the question machinery, which is good. So thanks everyone for the questions. Yeah, as Daniel was saying, I mean, if you've got anything you'd like to ask, you can ask anything about Ubuntu, open source in general. The only thing that we don't answer are questions about support. As we always say, there are better channels suited for that. We've got a couple of things that we wanted to talk about, but I think I'm getting overexcited by the early questions today, so perhaps we can take a few in between. All right. So Chloe Wolfigel is asking, when will there be an Ubuntu on Air app for Ubuntu Touch so that we can conveniently watch and questions on our Ubuntu phones? That's a really, really good suggestion. I mean, it's up to anyone who wants to develop such an app. To be honest, what we should be able to do relatively easy, I guess, would be to do a web app for Ubuntu on Air. For something more elaborate, then we could create a native app. But as I say, I mean, I think the first step of creating a web app for ubuntuonair.com should be a fairly easy one. We just need to think if we need to add anything to the site, but I think just as it is right now, it could work pretty well. So I'd say, yeah, I mean, it's a good suggestion, and anyone should feel free to start one.
Yep, sounds good to me. You could probably even do notifications or subscribe to the Google Calendar that's on Ubuntu on Air, so you get notifications in advance. It could figure out where the video feed is. It could tell you that this is a live show or that it's a show that happened in the past. It could be actually quite nice.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Actually, I'm not sure if we ever discussed it on during the hour, but I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Which brings us to one of our next topics, right?
You want to go for it, Daniel?
The Ubu contest is still happening. It was organized by a bunch of people centered around folks in Germany who've been organizing the German UbuCon that's upcoming in end of October, I think. Was it the 23rd to 25th?
I think it is 23rd to 25th of October.
Yeah, and that's where the winners of the Ubuntu contest are going to be announced, and they're going to get their prizes there if they can travel there. And it's actually quite nice. They have loads and loads of categories. The idea is to write apps and scopes for Ubuntu, and we're going to have prizes for the best team, the best individual, and there's loads of categories and extra points you get for being a convergence hero and whatnot. Like, there's loads and loads of good stuff and really good prizes, and there's still time, right?
Yes, I think the contest goes until the end of September, if I remember correctly. But what I'll do is I'll forward everyone to the URL of the website, where you can see all of the details with all of the prizes and all of the dates and rules. So essentially, you can go to ubucon.de/2015/contest. And as I say, you'll see the contest rules in there. If you've got questions, you can ask the ubucon.de guys, or feel free to ask them here as well. And also, if you then move a level up to ubucon.de, then you'll see all of the details on how to attend the ubucon in Berlin in October.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm unfortunately not going to be a judge, but I would be totally for the Ubuntu on Air app. I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, actually, here's the challenge then. If there's anyone who's listening and wants to create an Ubuntu app, I mean, I say I'm not a judge, so I cannot influence on them, but I'm sure that Daniel, myself, and the other guys in the community team would be happy to promote it.
Brilliant. Also, Ubuntu contest, like if you're in Germany, or if you're going to be around at that time in Germany, if you want to give a talk or do a live session or anything like that, the call for papers is still open, and so just subscribe or I don't know.
Cool.
At your talk, suggest your talk, whatever.
Yeah, a bunch of Ubuntu people are going to be there. Myself, I'm going to do a talk there. Daniel as well, and other canonical folks, and it will be good to see Ubuntu friends, which we haven't seen in person for a while. So I'd encourage everyone who can do it to join. I think it's going to be another really good UbuCon.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Zbigniew is reminding us, Zbigniew is on IRC, and he's one of the organizers of the UbuCon, and he's reminding us that for the contest, there's also a list of the submitted entries and nominations. So if you're on IRC, you should be able to see the URL yourself. If not, if you're listening to the feed, then you can go to ubucon.de/2015/contest/submitted-entries, or alternatively to submitted-nominations. All right, and with this, then shall we take some of the other questions?
Sure.
Let me see. So yeah. Claude Wolfigel was asking again, also, how are you all today? I hope you're all doing well. We're doing really well, actually. Well, apart from the weather, which Daniel and I were just commenting before we started, it seems that summer has officially finished in Germany. Other than that, everything's good. Good to be back from holidays. Good to have a nice relaxing time and come back with renewed energy. So all is good.
And commenting on holidays, Sujivan asked what our holidays were like. Yeah, for me and my girlfriend, it was a very quiet and relaxed time in Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, region of Germany, close to the sea, very relaxed. It was good.
Excellent. All right, yeah, in my case, I was 2 weeks away. 1 week in Portugal, driving around, and 1 week where I actually come from, in the region of Girona, in Catalonia. So it was really nice and relaxing time. Apart from all of the driving, but that was something. Okay. All right. We've got a question from Lexicon. The question is, any chance that this bug could get some love? We generally don't. I mean, I'd interpret this more like a support request, to be honest. I see there's some commenting on the bug, but on this, I'd recommend rather to talk to the developers. There's not much that we can do here on the Hangout. This is more for community support questions rather than tech support.
Okay, the next question is from MJ. When will the phone run apps in the background, multitasking? When I was using it, it wasn't getting any notification from Skype and Facebook Messenger.
Yeah, that's. Well, first of all, I'm surprised that you're using Skype on the Ubuntu phone.
There's a
web app, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if there's if notifications are enabled for Skype. To be honest, in any case, I mean, the reason why the architecture of the Ubuntu phone is such that only the application that's on the foreground right now is the one that's active and actually consuming CPU. And the reason we're doing this is because we want to save power. There's been some discussions on the phone mailing list about exceptions to the lifecycle model, whereby some apps would be able to be kept alive during, even if they're not in the foreground. I'm perhaps not the best person to talk about this, but what I think I'd suggest would be to check on the mailing list the actual discussions on this to see what the plans are. I think, if I remember correctly, the mailing list is can't remember the launchpad URL, to be honest. I mean, in any case, it's ubuntu-phone at list.launchpad.net, and we can post the URL to the archive in a minute once I find it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Essentially, right now, only the foreground apps are the ones that are active. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, here's another question about messaging apps. It's from Chloe Wolfiger. Was talk of getting messenger apps more permissions or something along those lines, so that messaging apps such as Telegram could work better and faster? Any update on that? I'm not quite sure what was happening in that discussion. I don't know which other permissions it would need.
Yeah, it might be worth perhaps detailing the permissions that are needed. And I wasn't part of that discussion either. But it might be that the answer is the same as the one before. That either applications might get an exception to the lifecycle model, or messenger apps might be able to use a framework that essentially takes care of the lower level permissions, and the app just interacts with the framework.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, and in the meantime, I've pasted the link to the mailing list archive for Ubuntu phone. It's list.launchpad.net/ubuntu-phone. So if you're interested in discussions on the lifecycle model, do check out that URL, and also subscribe to the list. It's always good to see the discussions and participate in the discussions live.
Absolutely. All right. We have a question from CMT. I've created a Telegram group with local or event leaders. What do you suggest to talk about next UbuCon Europe for 2017? Wow. I know it's early, but we want to organize this in Paris with our crew. We need to find a building long time before. Got an idea. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what you said, like what the question is.
I think the question is about topics to talk about for the UbuCon Europe. I mean, I'd suggest to invite the organizers of UbuCons in Europe, of past UbuCons. So, for example, the folks from UbuCon Paris, or the folks from UbuCon DE in this year it's Berlin. And also feel free to invite us from the community team. We'd be happy to help with any input. I mean, in terms of topics to talk about, I think it'd be good to discuss the format of UbuCon Europe, to discuss whether it's going to be a single track, whether there'll be multiple tracks, whether there'll be workshops, whether there'll be hackathons, something like that. I think it'd be good to have something different than the regular UbuCons, to celebrate that we've got like an overall continent-wide UbuCon. So these are just some ideas that come off the top of my head.
I'm Nicole asked, as a long-time Ubuntu user and a very occasional contributor, I'm not a huge fan of the canonical IP policy, but I'm totally sick of all the complaining about it. Is there any step I can take as a part of the community, other than posting on Reddit, to affect change in that area? It's a really good question, and I feel the same. It's a really good question.
One of the things that we're working on is on an FAQ to make it more digestible to users who are interested in this, or distributors who are interested in doing a remix. And when I say distributors, I mean that's probably the wrong word. Flavors, for example, want to do a remix. I've noticed that going through the legal documentation, it's something that's that it's, if you're not a lawyer, it's something that's sometimes difficult to digest. So one of the things that we're working on is on an FAQ, where we want to answer the questions in a very understandable way. And while the policy is still the policy that's going to be that's still on the website, the FAQ could help as an aid to understand particular questions. So once we're ready with the FAQ, one of the things that you could do, for example, would be to give us feedback on whether you think it answers the questions that you might have or what other people might have, and tell us if you think there are other questions that need adding, or if there's any step or any answer that's not clear. That might be one thing. Yeah. The other thing is making sure that that you weight the input from all sources. To be honest, I mean, for a user who's not deeply involved in this, it might be very, very confusing to hear what we say from Canonical, to hear what other people say from the Ubuntu community, who are not Canonical employees, than people from other communities outside of Ubuntu. So I'd recommend to weigh all of the feedback, not just from one side, and try to, if you're interested in the topic, try to make sure that that you gather as much input as possible, and there's not only one side. It's regardless of it being from Canonical or from being from a community that's outside of Ubuntu.
Yeah. One thing I would also recommend is that if you run into people who aren't unhappy or who aren't unsure, and you have some project based on Ubuntu, suggest to them to get in touch with Canonical Legal. Like, that's the best course of action. One of the motivations behind this is that Canonical wants to make sure what people actually get when it says Ubuntu on the package. Like, there's many people who work on Ubuntu who make modifications and they still call it Ubuntu and get it out there. And that's one of the big issues we need to look at. Ubuntu always wanted to have as many derivatives, flavors, remixes as possible. Like, as we found out earlier today, I'm nearing my 10-year anniversary at Canonical, and even before that, I was part of the Ubuntu community. And I still remember the very early days where Mark sent emails to projects where people just said, okay, we have this idea, we want to make this flavor of Ubuntu, we want to make this and that, and he encouraged them and reached out to the engineers to figure out, like, which changes do they need in Ubuntu to make this happen. So we welcome all of this. If you want to build on Ubuntu, that's no problem. We think that's great. But just if you go into anything that is commercial, where you distribute Ubuntu to people and you make modifications, that's just something where Canonical needs to get involved because of certification and all the other stuff. So just suggest to them to talk, just to ask the question, say what you're planning to do, and get in touch. That's all. And I think that would resolve the vast majority of open questions, and the rest is just a lot of speculation. Legalese are very hard, especially if you have so many different legislations, so many different countries which have different viewpoints on IP, on trademarks, and so on. So I would suggest you just push them to talk to Canonical Legal. Simple.
All right, cool. Okay, next question is from Chloe Wolfigel. Any updates on when we'll get the pause, skip, etc. options for music in the sound indicator drop-down? To be honest, I'm not sure if it's. I don't think it's on OTA 6. I've got a Krillin device, so I still haven't got the update, so I haven't checked. Perhaps OTA 7. Daniel, do you have some more insight on this?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we'll try to find out during the call. I'll ping some people to see if we can find out and see if we can answer by the end of the call. Okay, Ilonka is asking, when will the problem with widescreen in the browser and web apps will be solved? It's a little bit annoying. I know which bug you're referring to. I know it's been marked as critical. I know it's not been fixed for OTA 6, so I'd say perhaps OTA 7. I mean, if you've got a link to the bug, that will save me looking for it. There should be on the right of the, just on the top of the description on the right, there should be a field where it specifies for which milestone it's scheduled, so that should help you seeing when the fix is scheduled for potentially landing. So yeah, I mean, all I can tell you now is that I know that there's been people working on it, but I don't know if it will land for OTA 7, which is going to be the next one. Well, right now we've released OTA 6 for all of the devices, if I remember correctly, except for BQ devices, and the reason being that BQ have got their own QA process, on top of the Ubuntu QA process, and only after it's gone through their own QA, we'll release the image. So what I wanted to say is that OTA 6 is gradually being released, and then the next one in October is going to be OTA 7.
Yeah, and if you give us the bug number, we're happy to also get in touch with the HTML5 web apps browser folks and see what's happening there. And if you're curious, there might be even a fix you can test, figure something out. And we should, I liked Mike's suggestion on IRC, we should definitely invite them to one of the next shows.
Cool. And another thing to mention as well is this Andrew Hazen is listening to us as many other weeks. He's one of the Music App developers, and he's mentioning that they are working, the Music App developers, with Upstream to add support for to the Music App on this. Okay. And CMT is asking, and I think it's a follow-up to his previous question. What is the best place to talk about the WCON organization? I think your suggestion of using a Telegram group is a good one, but what I would perhaps suggest is to use the Ubuntu Community team mailing list. We've got lots of folks in there. It's open to everyone to see the archive. And I think you'll get much more feedback than on the Telegram group. So I'd say yes, it's ubuntu-community-team@list.ubuntu.com. Is that correct, Daniel?
Yep, it is.
Cool. All right, and then we've skipped the question from Global Figal, but I think for this one it's again related to the browser and web apps, and I think for this one we probably need to ask the experts, David Barr's team and the web apps team. Essentially, the question is, when will web apps and other apps will have the option to save images? Sometimes I have to find a way to put a URL from web app into the browser to save an image. I cannot myself really answer that one, and unless Daniel is able to, I think we'll have to forward you to the web apps guys. So perhaps the best thing to do right now is to ask on the Ubuntu-web apps channel. You can ping dbarth or Alexander Abreu. Let me see his name.
Alex-Abreu, I think.
Yeah.
All right. We have a question from Pavak Paul. Ubuntu phone is arriving in India soon, but the phone is overpriced. You can get the same specs phone for half of what a BQ Aquarius E4.5 offers. At that price, you get a phone with at least 2 GB of RAM here in India. I know it's something for the manufacturer to decide, but is Canonical aware of this? Yes, it is for the manufacturer to decide. It's also the reason why in the past, whenever people ask like, when is it out, when is it released, and so on, it wasn't Canonical's or Ubuntu's phone. It was a thing to decide for the manufacturer and also the people they're working with. Like in this case, BQ partnered with Snapdeal to get the phones to India. So yeah, we can't really say much or do much about prices.
Okay, next question. CMT is asking, did you hear about Mycroft on Kickstarter? An IA Home Assistant running Snappy Ubuntu on a Raspberry Pi might provide an Ubuntu SDK app for voice recognition if as a stretch goal. Well, this brings me very, very nicely to the next topic that I wanted to talk about. So thanks for the question. So yeah, we've definitely heard about Mycroft. For those of you who are hearing it for the first time, Mycroft is a project on Kickstarter. You can check it out at mycroft.ai. And it's essentially a box running Raspberry Pi and Ubuntu, with the goal of it being an IA that recognizes speech and essentially interacts with other internet devices on the home, with online services, and essentially does the work so that you don't have to worry about it, essentially. So yeah, I think there are about 9 days to finish the campaign. Their goal is to reach $99,000, if I remember correctly, and they're at about 75 or 78. This is a project I'm really excited about, not only because of the innovation that they bring, but also because they've chosen Ubuntu to implement it. It's not only an open source software project, but also an open hardware project, which is really, really cool. I think they've been very, very wise to choose established hardware and software platforms to work on this, to provide essentially the software for the IA. So that's going to be a device that's going to be hackable, that's going to be customizable, and also where you'll be able to build apps on top of it. So if you haven't done it yet, go check out mycroft.ia and do support their campaign. I think it's a really, really cool project, and it's a way to promote and benefit both Mycroft as a project and Ubuntu. So yeah, definitely go for it.
Cool. Okay, where's the next question?
Oh yeah, next question is again related to Mycroft. So from Global Field, follow up on Mycroft. I hear Ubuntu developers are working with Mycroft developers to get it working with Unity. Is that only Unity 7, or is the plan to use it in Unity 8? And hint, hint, can we have it in Ubuntu Phone's hat? I miss the hat a lot. Okay, so we're in conversation with the Mycroft guys. I cannot tell you yet whether the client is for Unity 7 or Unity 8. I need to check out on that. But I'm sure we can give you some news in the next few days. I think, given the fact that the campaign is ramping up to its end, well, there'll be quite a lot that we can do to support that goal. So yeah, let me just say this. Let me answer these questions in 1 day or two once we know more details on the client itself. I know that there's been screenshots on the internet, but perhaps we can tell you a bit more in the next couple of days.
Cool. There's a question from MJ. Although there are a number of email clients, only Thunderbird, to a certain extent, and Evolution are an alternative for Outlook. As a business owner, I need a stable client to handle contacts, calendars, and email. Does Canonical plan to launch a similar program, possibly even against payment? No, I don't think so. Like, getting email right is hard, and there are a lot of different email clients with projects working on them, and I can't really see Canonical getting into the business of writing email clients. It just it doesn't really fit.
Right. Yeah. I mean, one thing that one email client. I mean, as Daniel is saying, Ubuntu generally takes the best breed apps and integrates them into the operating system. This has changed a bit with the phone model, where Canonical has become, or I shouldn't just say Canonical. I'd say the Ubuntu community in general has become the upstream for some of these applications. But developing something like Thunderbird or Evolution from scratch is a project that Canonical is going to undertake right now. What I'd recommend though is to check a really cool email client called Deco, which is available for the phone, and it's also running on the desktop. As right now is optimized for the phone, it won't have the same features as Thunderbird. But one of the things that the Deco developers are working on is to have it working on a convergent environment, meaning that it should run and adapt to the desktop, not only to the phone. It's still early days on desktop conversions for Deco, but it's already looking pretty good.
It does. It really does. Yeah, if you're a business owner, maybe you could take a look at case studies or find out which email setups other companies are using. Many big companies use open source, so there should be some solution for this problem. But yeah, try out Deco. There's loads of really good email clients. I'm sure you're going to find something that suits you and your organization. Moving on, there's a question from Nick TH. Any guaranteed Ubuntu version, e.g. 16.04 LTS, for when Unity 8 arrives on the desktop?
I think right now first of all, we assessed whether it would be possible to have Unity 8 running on the desktop on 16.04, and we decided that for 16.04 we wanted to have a really polished and rock solid product, we decided to go for Unity 7 for the 16.04 LTS version. At some point, Unity 8 will arrive on the desktop, but we haven't committed to a particular version.
Yeah, I mean, you can try out Unity 8 already. So to some extent, Unity 8 is on the desktop already. So just install the necessary packages. You can try, I don't know, do we still have the ISO? Or is it Unity 8 at XC now?
I'm not sure. I haven't been checking for a while. I mean, I know that the plan is to have a Unity 8 session, but I'm not sure if the implementation is still going to be with the ISO.
Right. I mean, if you search for Unity 8, like there should be a page on the Ubuntu wiki or something. It guides you. Yeah, just try it out. It's there. But I think the plan is to slowly ease into the new desktop, so it won't be this release and not next release.
All right. Okay, so it seems that right now it's quiet spot for questions. So perhaps, Daniel, we can talk a bit about the Ubuntu Free Culture Showcase.
Yes. I'm very happy that Nathan Haynes and Jose, I forgot his last name. He's always just Jose to me.
Reyes.
Sorry?
Reyes.
Oh, of course, yeah. They picked up the slack and they are organizing this cycle's Ubuntu Free Culture Showcase. The idea being to put free culture, like free media, on the Ubuntu CD, on the image. So new users, you might remember this, is it called examples? Like there's this directory on your desktop, and it contains a couple of media so you can play around and see what the video player looks like and so on. And the idea was always to exchange the media that come with Ubuntu. So every cycle there's something new to look at, and it so this helps a bunch of different people. First of all, it makes Ubuntu more interesting. You can play some media, see if sound and video, if everything works, and also it gives people who work with media like song composers, artists, painters, and so on. It gives them a really good opportunity to get free culture out there to potentially millions of users. So I think it's a really nice competition, and I think you still have time for a couple of weeks. If you go to wiki.ubuntu.com/Ubuntu Free Culture Showcase, as in camel case. So yeah, you know how to do it. Go to the page; it has all the instructions for you. What they did was they set up like a Flickr group where you can just post your favorite photo or your painting or whatever it is, and it might be included as one of the wallpapers, but it needs to be free. It needs to be licensed under the the Creative Commons CC by SA license. That's the only requirement we have. Then there's also a SoundCloud group where you can post your suggestions. Same thing applies, CC by SA, and there's also a Vimeo group. It should, if you're doing anything with media, it should be very easy for you to get your suggestion in there, and you should hear back in a couple of weeks and see if yours was included. Thanks again, Nathan and Jose for organizing this. Should probably we could try to invite them next week and just see where things stand, like show what kind of videos, sounds, and wallpapers we got until then. That might be some additional motivation for people who are part of the free culture world. Also, if your friends are artists, make sure to let them know about this. Yeah, David just shared the links on IRC as well. So if you're hanging out there, just yeah.
Okay, cool. So we've got another question from Global Figure. Any updates for the HUD or any new Convergence Unity on desktop updates? I promise you'll be seeing some updates in the form of videos or blog posts or in the social media in the upcoming days. Right now, it's been a bit quiet because the team who are working on this were having a sprint to essentially define the convergence story on a new device. So I mean, other than that, also Daniel and I had just come back from holiday, so we need to do a bit of catch up. But this is something that we're starting to work on, essentially to bring some more awareness on the work that we're doing on convergence. So stay tuned for updates on this on the upcoming days. We're planning to show a set of videos and I say updates on how the work is evolving.
Yeah, if you're super adventurous and you really want to know what's going on, I would suggest just check out all the different branches for all the different core apps and see what's happening there. I'm sure a lot of changes are already landing, and maybe we're going to have Alan Pope back next week. Like, he should have a good overview of what's currently cooking, what's happening.
All right. Okay, I'm just wondering if we had anything else to share this week that's been going on in the Ubuntu world. We've got something really cool also cooking up, and I'm going to just mention this as a sneak peek. We've had Nicholas Cax from our team working on a proposal to do some QA for community testing, essentially, for phone images, and hopefully we'll be able to share this very soon. Hopefully not putting any pressure on him. I was thinking to prepare a demo for the team and to reach out to some early testers. no pun intended, to test the new workflow for QAing the phone images. So stay tuned on this channel. Probably next week we might be able to share something on this.
Cool. Yeah. Sultan who leads the SDK team just pinged me this morning. He said he also had some very, very good news for app developers coming up, and he's just now writing the blog post. So if you keep your eyes peeled and look at developer.ubuntu.com, you're going to find out what's new with the SDK and how things are going to be even better.
Excellent. All right. So if you've got any more questions, just let us know as usual. Prepending them with questions, we'll be able to answer them. And if there aren't any more questions for this week, then we can perhaps wrap it up earlier and then forward you to the next episode next week.
Yeah, and also ping us on IRC. Like if you have suggestions who we should invite, which topics we should talk about, and maybe which teams to invite so they can do a quick demo or something. Yeah, we're happy to receive all these suggestions.
Which brings me to on the question from Chloe on the desktop convergence updates. We've been talking to Kevin Gunn, who's managing the Unity 8 / convergence team to participate in our next Q&A, and it seems he'll be able to make it. So yeah, just to confirm, we'll have some more news on convergence next week, and you'll be able to ask Kevin all of the questions that you have regarding both Unity 8 in general as a collection of technologies, the shell itself, and the status of convergence work.
Cool. Great news.
All right. So I think then with this, Daniel, we can perhaps
wrap it up.
Exactly. A bit early this week. And then I think you did the reminders already for Ubuntu On Air. So so I think we're good with Jose. So I'll say thank you everyone for the questions. Thank you for joining in on IRC or watching the feed. And then we'll see you at the same hour next week, perhaps with different people, but with equally exciting content. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.